Hi, scholars. So today we are going to continue making text-to-text connections, but with a new book. This book's called The Gingerbread Baby. So we read The Gingerbread Man earlier this year. So this one's a little bit different because they're both cookies, but it's a new type of story. So there's going to be some new story elements to it. And when we read The Gingerbread Baby today, I want you to be thinking about the books that we read, like Nugget and Fang and Larry Got Lost in Chicago, and see how we can connect this story to the books that we have been reading throughout the year. All right, let's get started. It was cold outside. It was warm inside. A fine day for gingerbread, Maddie thought. Maddie's mother put the big blue bowl on the table and lit the stove. Maddie took down a worn-looking cookbook with old-fashioned writing on the cover. He opened it up to the page that said, Gingerbread Boy. They measured and mixed. Maddie rolled the dough into the shape of a gingerbread boy, and they popped him in the oven. Bake a full 8 minutes. No more, no less. And do not peek, the recipe read. Maddie listened to the clock. Tick, tock, tick. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3, 4, 5. Maddie couldn't wait any longer. He opened the oven door to take a peek. Instead of a gingerbread boy, out jumped a gingerbread baby. He pranced around the big blue bowl. I am the gingerbread baby, fresh from the pan. If you want me, catch me if you can. Maddie's mother reached for the gingerbread baby to put him back into the oven, but he ran all around the kitchen. The door opened and in came Maddie's father. What's that delicious smell? He asked as the gingerbread baby tumbled through his legs and outside into the yard. He ran by the tabby cat. She twitched her tail and sprang at him. They rumbled and tumbled, but the gingerbread baby came out on top. He ran toward the garden wall. The dog caught a whiff of tasty ginger and sniffed along behind him. But the gingerbread baby was halfway up when the dog caught up. He barked and barked as the gingerbread baby climbed over the wall. Scholars, on this page, I can make a text-to-text connection between the gingerbread baby and Larry Gets Lost in Chicago. I notice that in both stories, people are separated from what they want. So they're trying to catch and find the thing that they're looking for. So Pete wants Larry, and Larry gets lost in Chicago, and Maddie wants the tasty gingerbread baby, as well as the rest of Maddie's family. So let's see what happens next. Maddie was still inside. He heard his mother and father yelling. He heard a cat meowing and a dog barking. And he heard the gingerbread baby shouting, "Catch me if you can." Maddie opened up the worn-looking cookbook for the second time. Meanwhile, the gingerbread baby wheeled on down the path and into the barn. The goats looked up as he somersaulted across their backs. The last one tried to catch him, but the gingerbread baby was too fast. Martha and Madeline were standing by the well when the gingerbread baby stopped to take a drink. They looked at each other and winked. Martha started to talk to him, and Madeline tiptoed up behind him with the bucket. But they could not fool the gingerbread baby. Scholars, how do you think that Maddie is feeling on this page? Let's make a text-to-text connection. So I want you thinking about the books that we've read this year, especially Larry Gets Lost in Chicago and Nugget and Fang. And I want you to think about, how does the gingerbread baby feel? Or how does Maddie feel? So I know that when Larry got lost in Chicago, Pete felt really sad and confused because he couldn't find Larry, and he wanted to be reunited with his dog. And I think that here, the gingerbread babies, or that Maddie's feeling really sad because he wants to make sure that he can get the gingerbread baby, and maybe even a little bit frustrated. So let's keep reading to see. He took a braid from Martha and a braid from Madeline and tied them in a knot and ran down the road. Back in the house, Maddie stirred, mixed, and rolled the dough. He shaped it, put it in a pan, and into the oven. Tick-tock, tick-tock. 8 long minutes. This time, he did not peek. I will catch him if I can, Maddie said to himself. As he was bouncing along, the gingerbread baby saw a farm wagon just ahead. He jumped in and settled down for the ride next to a mama pig. The smell of gingerbread was too much for her. She tossed him high in the air, closed her eyes, and opened her mouth. But the gingerbread baby twisted in the air and came down hard on her porky snout. I am the gingerbread baby, too quick for the mother and the father, too fast for the cat, the dog, the goats, too clever for Martha and Madeline, too smart for the mama pig. What's left? Catch me if you can. Feeling snug, the gingerbread baby strolled along by himself until he came to a bridge that crossed over the village. Just as he got to the middle, he heard running feet behind him and saw a crowd of villagers ahead of him. The gingerbread baby was trapped. He jumped up to the railing, backflipped through the air, and landed on a chunk of ice floating down the river. The ice bobbled along with the gingerbread baby, dancing on top and singing in a loud voice. Look at me, and what do you see? The best gingerbread baby ever. Until his feet got cold and he jumped ashore. Who was that watching from the trees? It was the fox. He crept up behind the gingerbread baby, ready to eat him up. But the fox couldn't help himself, and he licked his chops, smack, smack. The gingerbread baby heard him, and he ran as fast as he could. Just when the fox was catching up, the gingerbread baby saw the milk and cheese man with his can of milk. The perfect hiding place, he thought. He lifted the lid and lowered himself inside. He was so pleased that he sang at the top of his gingerbread voice. Ha ha, hee hee, you'll never find me. I'm the gingerbread baby. Catch me if you can. The milk and cheese man heard the gingerbread baby's voice. Who is meddling with my milk? He shouted and lifted the lid. But the gingerbread baby was ready. He jumped up and tweaked his nose. Now, the milk and cheese man, the fox, the villagers, the mama pig, Martha and Madeline, the bleating goats, the barking dog, the meowing cat, the father, and the mother were all after the gingerbread baby and getting closer. And he knew it. The brash baby was not as peppy and proud as he had been. He sniffed a familiar smell and followed his nose into the woods. On this page, I can make a text-to-text connection between Nugget and Fang. This reminds me of a part when all of the minnows were trying to be caught by that one net, and that Fang went and saved them. But in this one, just like how the minnows are being caught, the villagers and all of the people are trying to catch the gingerbread baby. He couldn't believe what he saw. There in the middle of a clearing was a gingerbread house frosted with sugar, coated with candy, and doors with peppermint handles. Wide open, the gingerbread baby clapped with its hands, glee, and ran inside. In a tick-tock-tick, everyone arrived in the clearing, but all they found were a few bits of frosting, a peppermint candy, and some crumbs. The father exclaimed, "The gingerbread baby has finally met his match." "I wonder who it was," the mother said. "Let's go home and tell Maddie." It looks like Maddie might already know. "Hello, Maddie," his father said when they got home. "We never did catch the gingerbread baby. All we found were some crumbs in the snow." "I see you have been busy," his mother said, looking at the gingerbread house Maddie was holding. "Too bad. We never caught the gingerbread baby." "Too bad," said Maddie. What was Maddie doing when everyone was chasing the gingerbread baby? Why do you think that? What was he doing? He was building a gingerbread house that would catch the gingerbread baby. Only Maddie could hear the tiny voice from inside the gingerbread house. Oh, you can almost see inside the gingerbread house. "I'm the gingerbread baby, lucky as can be, to be living in the house that Maddie made for me." Hey, guys, what is a text-to-text connection? A text-to-text connection is when we think about other books that we've read while we are reading the current book to better understand it. So we made some text-to-text connections between the gingerbread baby and Larry Gets Lost in Chicago and the gingerbread baby and Nugget and Fang. And those helped us better understand why characters were doing certain things in the gingerbread baby. All right, scholars, thank you for reading with me.